Black Clover is in its final arc, the Ultimate Wizard King. This arc contains some of the most insane reveals in the series and the hype level is the highest it's ever been, but while it's been pretty enjoyable, there is one massive problem that is holding back the potential of this arc and in some ways making it worse. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably know where I'm going with this. The pacing of the final arc is shooting the series in the foot, but local. What do you mean by pacing? Every critic likes to use that buzzword without elaborating on what they mean by it. When someone discusses the pacing of a story, they are referring to the speed at which the story is told and how all the chain of events fall into place. For example, somebody working out at the gym over the course of 6 months and consistently gaining strength at a steady rate. In Black Clover, you are entering the gym day 1 benching 65 pounds and then on day 2 attempting to bench 225. You're not that guy. Tabata has been blitzing through events in the final arc like he's that student that decided to start his 10-page essay 2 hours before the deadline. Bro, you don't have to worry about your manga getting axed. Now, that's not to say that fast pacing in a story is inherently bad. Hell, Black Clover has always been a faster paced story, but ever since the first time skip, the story has slowly increased its pacing as time has gone on. Alongside Tabata's declining health, the page count of chapters having decreased, resulting in shorter chapters with less dialogue, and all of this has negatively impacted the arc in many ways. One of the big appeals of the final arc was the concept of Paladins, pre-established characters or dead characters from our cast past returning to fight the new generation. I remember when chapter 334 dropped, fans speculated for weeks on the many characters we could see turn into Paladins and how they could interact with our heroes. It was a fun time in the community, and in an arc that's major theme is about overcoming the representation of the old generation's ideals, you would think we would be getting multiple solid to even great antagonists. Black Clover is at its best when the antagonist isn't a devil, because the devils in this story are just the most raw embodiment of an emotion, and Tabata does not do a good job at making them interesting characters or going through any complete arc with them that isn't just a typical I'm strong, you're weak, leading to them getting humbled. I swear to God, if somebody in the comments replies with Liebe, he isn't an antagonist, so don't even try that, but let's get back on track. The soul of Black Clover has always been the non-devil characters and the battle against social hierarchy, discrimination, and the conflicting ideals on how to lead a kingdom. That's why Lucius, being the final antagonist of the series, an individual who desires to become the ultimate Wizard King and build a world through what their vision of world peace, perfectly parallels Asa's goals. Two characters that have the same conclusion, but the methods are polar opposites. And that is why I will never understand why people would want Astaroth, a devil of all characters, to be the true final antagonist of a series. Yes, let's completely disregard Tabata's track record that spans over 5 years and pray Astaroth cooks a 5-star meal for us. Again, I'm getting off topic. If I rant about that foolishness, this video is going to go for 2 hours and I don't think I have enough image reacts in my folder for that. But I think you get the point. The Paladin concept was a step in the right direction. Now I say was because so far, if we're being real, serious, distinguished people with respectable standards, the Paladins so far have just been ass, straight up ass. It's just the way it is. Like, you would think over 300 chapters worth of foundation and there's no way you can mess this up, and most of them are just slightly better than Lucifero. Characters like Damnatio and Sister Lily had so much potential to be more than just reskinned devils and have their fights rushed. Lily is essentially Asa's mother figure, and during the start of this arc, he asked her to marry him for the last time. Now, that he's legal, of course. Bro finally learned that Lily does not want to go to jail, and of course she rejects him. But Asa's response and maturity to this final rejection was a great moment to start the conclusion of his journey. So to then afterwards be utterly annihilated by his idol figure and told to unalive himself by the woman he loves, you would think this is the perfect moment to delve into Asa's psyche, as he is now in a foreign land while going through the typical main character solo arc. And while we do get to see these vulnerable moments with Asa to an extent, the moment where Asa is at his lowest mentally, fully drowning in negative thoughts about his self-worth, we don't even get to see the initial realization of his answer coming to fruition. It's like if Subaru from ReZero or Robin from One Piece deciding they want to live and value themselves was off-screened. Asta returns and we are explained the answer he found through his training, but because we don't get to see the initial accomplishment of the training, it feels as if a chapter is missing between these events, as a result holding back the moment from being at its best. I still think it's a great moment for Asa's character, but it could have been better, and this sentiment goes towards Lily as well. The terrifying feeling of being mind controlled against your will to hurt the ones you love, and the conflicting emotions that result in absolute mental fuckery is a cool concept, but Tabata delves on it for a little bit, and Lily's fight against Asta begins and concludes in a single chapter. A character this important to the main character should not be treated as a fodder tier antagonist. Don't even get me started on Damnatio. A character with interesting ideologies who has a previous past with Asta. Oh, I wonder how the interactions between them will go. And oh, he just got one shot. Don't get me wrong, it's raw and we need to establish Asta's strength, but even after the defeat, these two get like no good interactions between each other. Just cool fight stuff. It's not just Asta-centric plot lines that suffer from this. Because of Tabata's foolish decision to skip the 3 days prior to Judgment Day, character-defining moments like Yuno becoming captain of the Golden Dawn and Noelle gaining strength in a world where Asta doesn't exist are drastically held back because instead of steadily building up to these moments, elements of them are either skipped or not given enough emphasis, all in a sacrifice to get as quickly as possible to the climax of these plot lines. Tabata prioritizes reaching the spectacle instead of focusing on the journey, and recently with how he's tunnel visioned on dropping as many action focused double page spreads as possible, I doubt this mindset will change with the switch to Jump Giga. Fans have discussed all the potential plot lines that still need to occur after Lucius is defeated to tie the series together properly, and with the current track record, it's likely that after Lucius is defeated, we just time skip to Asta being Wizard King, rush some other loose ends, and conclude the series, which would be extremely disappointing for a series running near a decade old. The first Jump Giga chapter of Black Clover releases in December, so let's see if Tabata proves me wrong, because Black Clover has turned into a spectacle manga that prioritizes itself on making sure its characters look as raw as possible, and that's not what Black Clover is, or what it should be. Just frustrating, because it's one of my favorite mangas that I love to read weekly, and just seeing it kind of turn into, again, I like meathead stuff. Everyone knows I on Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, everyone just makes jokes about I'm the meathead reader, I just like fights, and I like my Oonga Boonga stuff, but you know, the series was never just Oonga Boonga stuff. It was also something more than that. So, you know, when there's all these discussions going on about why are you expecting these things from a shonen manga, I just feel like it's doing disservice to the author, because that's not the standard that he originally set for me, and I'm obviously going to continue raising my standards because I think overall it's a good story. So yeah, hopefully things change in December, but we will see. But let me know your thoughts on the pacing of the final arc. I know on Twitter it's an interesting debate, very interesting, always a fun time on that app. But if you enjoy anime content that keeps it real, consider subscribing so when I hit 10K you can brag about being a day one. I gotta get back in the kitchen to cook. Peace.